Hey, everybody, how's it going? Hope you had a good week. Each week, our team that you see here and more people, we crowdsource some of the most interesting things we've found across the internets. And we talk about it, thinking about, our roles, what we do here in creative research, strategy, planning, digital, and more. And, as curious thinkers, we go that extra mile. We want to capture our perspectives and bring it to you. So we call it the drop. Let's drop into the drop. Hey, joined by Austin. Austin, how are you? Serena, how's it going? Judy, how are you? All right. So I feel there was a lot of stuff we were talking about this week, but one thing that captured our heart and our minds, I don't know, is IKEA. And they had an ad campaign talking about how they take the back seat in parenting, showing their products in the background and more focused on the parents in the foreground, thinking about like the product second, parenting first. And, it was interesting for me from a brand perspective around how second place can be a good thing sometimes. And that's actually what they were getting a lot of pickup for, was how they were highlighting how they're second place next to parenting. And I think it's we live in a world where it's highly competitive. There's a lot of messages out there every single day. We all deal with it with our clients and just read about it a lot. And so I think when you can come in kind of sideways and come in serendipitously a little bit and raise a little bit of attention and awareness, it's a good thing. And then on top of it, you're throwing in some functionality from a parenting side. So, I think for me, there was a lot of kind of good realism there. And Austin, I know that that's where you were kind of finding interest too, is more of that honesty, that authenticity. So tell us a little bit more about your take on it.
Yeah, it was really the authenticity that stood out to me. We live in a world where brands can get called out if they overstep their position, especially by younger generations. Like, we all know that companies are here to make money. And whenever they overstep that, or they say something that isn't true, or oversteps their position, they'll get called out for it. And that was something that I think IKEA struck a really good balance with, where they did list the price on there and they got in front of that. And then the beauty of it was elevating the parents above their own products. And that was the beauty and the really good job that they did on this one, that really good balance that they found.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And, speaking of that authenticity, there was a couple other things that we've seen this year from brands. Uber Eats earlier this year, they recruited Kris and Kendall Jenner and for its Get Almost Anything campaign, right? It's humorous. They admit that you can't get everything on it. And so that's one kind of way that a brand is doing it. And then Aldi Australia did something pretty interesting too, where they launched a campaign that encouraged shoppers to visit different grocery stores. It was as long as you shop Aldi first, but it was about how you visit it. So I don't know, Serena, we were talking about this too a little bit. So, I think that's where your brain was taking it too, was down that route of second place, right? And what that looks like. So tell us a little bit about what you were thinking.
Yeah. I think a lot of these brands and companies are using self-awareness and confidence in their campaigns to say, we know you don't really need us, and you don't, which kind of has a reverse psychology effect, making people think, wait, we do need you and we like you. And then that kind of goes into the messaging and the human portion. This IKEA campaign is more based on humans and mom and dads rather than just visual. So it kind of is less on how do we get their attention, but more on how do we make people feel something, which is why I think this IKEA campaign is so successful, because it's really evoking feelings from the audience.
Yeah, I love it too, right? Very humanized. And, Judy, I want you to close this out a little bit, but I want to throw it your way too. Judy and Austin sit in our creative team. And Judy, one thing that struck me about these two was that it creatively, visually, it was really easy. It was literally just like a slow pan of a camera out. There wasn't a lot of fanfare. It was very meditative, very quiet. I don't know, did that strike you too, as someone that sits in design kind of day in and day out?
Yeah, of course, because you're also thinking about any parent would know this. It's always chaotic. So just being able to see it.
No, it's never chaotic. It's super quiet and very slow. Yeah.
Well, you know more than me because you're a parent. I'm not. But the way I have always seen it is like it's just so hectic. So being able to see an ad like this, it's almost kind of like, kind of like a bit of a relief. But yeah, we're also used to seeing a brand release a product which is there to address an issue or solve a pain of the customer. But in this case, they didn't do that. And that's actually something that a lot of brands are often fearful of because, they're there to push out a product. And if they're not promoting it, then they're not selling it. IKEA on this, in this instance, they're actually spotlighting, like we've been talking about that relationship, which is something that is more important than the product itself. And we're all familiar with IKEA. They tend to have like very budget friendly products that they sell to their customers. But in this case, just showcasing this relationship is actually something that you can never associate a dollar amount to.
Yeah, awesome. Well, as always, you all make me smarter and a better person. So thank you, Judy. Thank you, Serena. Thank you, Austin. And thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week on The Drop. Have a good weekend. Bye.